Hello and welcome. I'm Dr. Susan Hughes, and this is Sharpening HER Edge. This is for women by women in leadership, those who want to be in leadership, and for those who really are in leadership who don't see it yet. Oh my gosh, that's been coming up as a theme lately with different people I've been interviewing. So, this is season 1, episode 8, The Hidden Cost of Saying Yes Too Often. Did you know that there are some yeses that really don't feel like decisions? They feel automatic. Well, sure, I can do that. That's fine. No problem. And in the moment, it doesn't feel like a big deal. But over time, it adds up. And what they create is a life that feels full, but not always aligned. And this is the hidden cost of saying yes too often, because every yes carries weight, not just in your schedule, but in your energy, your attention, your capacity. And when those yeses are intentional, they can become meaningful. But when they're automatic, your default mode, they become draining. So let's slow this down and take a look at this. Because I'm not saying yes is bad. It's about saying yes in the first place. Because sometimes it's because you care. Sometimes it's because you're capable. And sometimes it just feels easier. And sometimes, yeah, listen up for this one, it really hits hard. And sometimes saying yes and doing it seems easier than just delegating and saying no. Anybody else have the cases of, I'll just do it myself? How many of us have heard that? How many of us have said that? Oh, yeah, guilty, guilty. And it all comes down to, in part, because it feels easier than saying no, easier than disappointing someone, easier than setting a boundary, easier than sitting in that moment of discomfort. So you say yes, and then you adjust everything else around it. You move things, you squeeze things, and you figure it out, actually, because we know you're smart, we know you're capable. You figure it out because that's what you always do. But here's what doesn't get accounted for. What that yes just replaced. The focus that you needed, the space that you didn't have, the energy that you were already low on. And this is where things start to feel off because your days are full, but not necessarily directed. You're doing a lot, but not always what on matters most. So here's the question I want you to sit with. What are you saying yes to without actually choosing it? That's a hard one. And that is a very important one. So we're not talking about the obvious commitments, the quick ones, the easy ones, the ones that feel small in the moment, because those are the ones that quietly take up space. So I want to give you a recent example. Most mornings, you'll find my husband and myself in our neighborhood community pool doing water aerobics. It's helpful for my titanium body and my poor muscles and joints. It's fun. We can get a little spicy at times, but it's fun. Anyway, so the instructor was going to be unavailable. And some of the other people in the class asked if I would be able to sub that day. because I've done it before. It's no big deal. Right. No big deal. So, anyways, I put about 15 to 25 minutes in it. So I thought probably expanded more into that because of the text messages back and forth. So I created the playlist, wrote down some of the exercise sheets, even found an inappropriately snarky hat. I'm sorry, appropriately. Yeah, probably right the first time. And guess what? It rained. And the HOA has a rule: no swimming in the outdoor community pools when it's raining because of the threat of lightning. So, can I use the playlist later? Sure. Can I use the exercise list play later? Exercise list later. Sure. Did I have the half an hour to an hour to devote my energy, time, and direction to it? Absolutely not. Lesson learned. Lesson learned. So, if I had said no, that would have given me more space, more capacity to allow me to think, to lead, to move forward intentionally. Because without it, everything else becomes reactive. So this isn't about becoming someone who says no to everything. It's about becoming someone who chooses their yes. Because every intentional yes requires an intentional no to somewhere else. And when you start to see that clearly, your decisions start to shift. Not dramatically, but meaningfully. And this is where alignment comes into play. Oh, yeah, that pesky word, alignment. I'm going to have an episode coming up soon focusing specifically only on alignment. And this is where it connects to leadership. Because when your yeses are in the default mode, when they've become automatic, your leadership becomes reactive. And is that where you really want it to be? Or do you want your leadership to become intentional and proactive? I encourage you to look at that. So, a couple things. Let's apply this. Because insight without action doesn't create change. So, let's make this real. I want you to think about the last 24 hours, not the ideal day, your actual day. Where did your time go? Where did your energy go? Where did you say yes to automatically? What felt heavy? What felt draining? What felt like obligation instead of intention? Now, here's what most people skip. What are you still carrying that you don't need to be carrying anymore? A responsibility, a decision, an expectation. Something that may have made sense before, but it doesn't fit who you are now. If you're honest with yourself, and we sure want that, if you're honest with yourself, you already know what it is. So here's your next step. Not a big overhaul, just one shift. What is just one thing you can release, delegate, or rethink this week? Because momentum doesn't come from doing more. It comes from carrying less of what doesn't matter. So if this resonated with you, I've created something simple for you to take further. It's called the 2-day time and energy audit. You can look and find it in the comments. And then I have an on-demand workshop that takes a step beyond that. But step 1, you can't get a hold of your energy in time unless you see where it's actually going. So do that. Download it. Price is awesome. It's free. And the clarity that comes from it is priceless. So, and once you have that awareness, it changes everything. And that's where you start. So take a look at the comments. And if you liked this episode, or if you like Sharpening Her Edge, please comment, like, share, subscribe. And if you feel so inspired, just put in a recommendation. It is released every Thursday morning currently on Spotify and Apple, and coming soon to YouTube podcast. Be well and think about just one thing.